Hello, my name is Bill and today we're going to make ground beef stroganoff. I love to make a great beef stroganoff with tenderloin, but it's time consuming and expensive. This is a great alternative. What makes it great is you don't use a can of soup like my mom did. My sister had a recipe that called for mock tender steaks. It's a cut of chuck. It's okay, but not great. Basically I have to cook it for hours to make it work. I found a recipe in a cookbook called for tenderloin and all this fancy stuff. Kind of modernized it, and it's one of my favorite meals when I have the time. But today I'm going to show you how to substitute with ground sirloin. Ground sirloin will give you all the flavor. So let's get started. I have a pound of ground sirloin that I've already cooked and drained because you want all the fat out of it. And in my pan here, I have 2 tablespoons of butter, which is warming up nicely, and 2 cloves of minced garlic. I'm going to add 1 whole yellow onion that I've already chopped. Just going to stir this around here. I just want to start getting this onion kind of softened. You really don't need to cook it because it's also going to cook with the mushrooms. Okay. Starting to smell that, girl. Now while that's sizzling, I'm just going to tell you that I'm going to add 12 ounces of sliced mushrooms. You can slice them yourself or you can get them from the grocery store already sliced. These have to be from the grocery store. Can't get them too far ahead of time though. And you can use other mushrooms if you prefer. These are just buttons. I mean, really, if you're using ground sirloin, you don't have to be real fancy, but if you like the taste or texture of other mushrooms, please feel free to substitute. So basically you have to start mushrooms sauteing them because you need to get some of the liquid to start cooking out. Otherwise it'll thin anything you've made. I don't know if you ever tried putting them in anything like spaghetti sauce, for instance, and if the mushrooms aren't sauteed, all of a sudden it's going to make your spaghetti sauce really thin. That's on its way. So I just tell you that the thing is that obviously the stroganoff is a great meal. It's a little bit different recipe, same concept with a tenderloin, but then you have to think about it. I prefer to use prime tenderloin. That gets a little pricey, but if I have, like I'm going to make a tenderloin for Christmas probably, that's what I usually do. So I have a prime tenderloin, I'm probably going to have some leftovers. Maybe I've got, the ends that weren't real pretty or whatever, or we just didn't finish it all. I can certainly use it in this. The thing you want to remember when using tenderloin, because it has so little fat content, is that you definitely you need to get the tenderloin as rare as you're willing to eat it. So it's not a great idea if you like all your meat well done, because basically if you use the tenderloin recipe, which I'll show you some other day, you're kind of stirring it at the last minute just to eat it through with the sour cream. So it's a little bit different recipe, but it certainly tastes a lot better. It's much more tender. See what my mushrooms are doing here. Starting to sweat out. Okay, beautiful. I try to keep most of my recipes like as healthy as possible. I mean, I'm not always worried about fat content, but certainly one of the things I avoid, you never see I add salt to a recipe. The only thing I add salt to is actually when I make guacamole, which I'll do another day. But you really don't need it. Like I'm gonna add some beef stock, which has no salt added to it. I don't usually make my own beef stock, I just buy it at the store. Chicken stock or turkey stock, I'll make. That's a whole lot easier. Alright, so I got the mushrooms now. A little wilted. So, what I'm going to do is I have 3 tablespoons of flour. Just want to get this stirred in. And for those of you who follow me, you're like, why did you just measure flour? You always weigh your flour. Well, I'm not really making a roux. Basically, I'm just using it as a thickener so that it doesn't have to be as accurate. Same concept goes though, we want to cook this a little bit so we get some of that flour taste out of it. Try this here. Okay. So it looks like flour's incorporated. It's cooking. One day they'll smell onions, so they can smell how wonderful this is. Thanks, the girl. I think everything's cooked. The flour's all incorporated and cooked a little bit, so that should be just absolutely fine. Now I need to put my ground sirloin back in. Pan's pretty hot, so this is going to heat up nice and quickly. And here's my secret. I have 4 baby gherkins that I have chopped up. I'm going to dump in here. I don't know if it's the texture or the flavor, but it really adds to this dish. Once again, we just want to get everything warmed up again. And I can instantly smell the pickle in there. Okay. Now what I gotta do, I have 2 cups of beef stock. I slowly add to this. So you add it slow so it keeps the temperature up so that it doesn't get lumpy from the flour. So I have this in here. Just want to stir it all around. But basically, to make the sauce, you just let this simmer for 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna make sure it's all mixed up. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. We've got the consistency we wanted. It's simmered down nicely. I've turned down the heat a little bit. So now we just need to stir in our last ingredients and get ready to serve it. So, I need some tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. 2 tablespoons of chili sauce, and a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Bet you didn't see that one coming. Gonna mix this all together. At this point I can actually turn it off the heat. Okay. We're going to add some sour cream at the end. You just don't want it too hot. It'll break the sour cream. Curdle it. Alright. Now I have a teaspoon of dill weed. Dump in here. It's beautiful. You can tell everyone you slaved all day on the stove to make this. So I know it's cool enough now. It's not steaming my glasses. So I have 3/4 of a cup of sour cream. Just going to incorporate it in here. Before I finish this up, you can see it's getting a nice kind of gravy to it now, the sour cream. I just got a little chopped Italian parsley I cut fresh out of my garden this morning. Okay, this is beautiful. So once again, this really isn't that hard to make. It really didn't take a long time. I mean, you can, 10 minutes it's cooking down, you can do whatever else you want. Decorate the tree. Alright. So the interesting thing is that I've learned that typically this is something that most people serve over egg noodles. Egg noodles just don't reheat very well. They tend to break down, so I prefer using pasta. So I have a little bit of linguine here in a bowl. I like linguine. It's just one of my favorite kind of pastas. This isn't a time to use like fresh pasta because it's kind of too light. You want something that's a little heartier. So all I'm going to do is just shove this up. Doesn't that look splendid? I wish we had smell-o-vision. You can smell this. This is really good. Of course, like I said, it's very simple. This is an easy recipe. I would enjoy this with a nice glass of French Côte de Rhône style wine, a red wine that'll make you think that you're actually eating tenderloin instead of sirloin, even though probably just as good. So I really hope that you enjoy this as much as I do. So please click that subscribe button, like, and comment. Thank you, and enjoy this recipe.